masses and the white masses are coming into a general conflagration, while the liberals at the top are saying, oh, all is love, we're going to settle it, and you're not going to settle it.
Did Mr. X, not after he left the Muslims, send a telegram to you, Mr.
He
Rockwell?
did. He was going to shoot me.
What did the telegram say?
He told me if I hurt or injured any of the people in Selma, Alabama, where I was going to oppose Mr. King down there, that he would come down and shoot me.
Did he say to you that he was going to shoot any white people?
His telegram was directed to me and my bully boys, he said, and he was going to take care of it.
Was that ever have you ever found in his philosophy where he said that he was going to just go out in the streets and start shooting whites?
He didn't say that, sir, but I attended his... I spoke at the Muslim rally here in Chicago.
So I'm asking
you,
did he say that?
No, I never heard Mr. Malcolm X...
When Mr. X left the Muslim movement and developed a political philosophy, did he say that he was going out in the streets to shoot white people?
I had never heard everything he said. I don't know.
Well, you ought to, because you quote him quite frequently. And I mean, as an intelligent white man...
to him, I read it.
As an intelligent white man, you want to quote correctly, don't you?
I try, sir.
Well, then let's see. It seems to me what Mr. X said when he left the Muslim movement was that his political philosophy was that black people had to organize themselves politically.
Yes.
And to move to control their neighborhoods.
Well, he said more than neighborhoods.
I beg your pardon?
He said a little more than neighborhoods, as I remember.
No, you quote him.
I don't remember his exact words, but I've heard speeches where he said that...
I mean, as a superior white, you should certainly remember everything he says.
Well, I don't know whether I'm a superior white. At least I'm white. Whatever you might...
Mr. Carmichael, I wonder if I can interrupt a moment. You talk of controlling the political structure in neighborhoods. What has your organization done here in Chicago with regard to deposing Congressman Dawson, for example, or certain Negro aldermen who have been accused of being part of the power structure?
Well, one of the things it seems to me that you have to do is to build an organization that was...
Well, wait, you didn't answer my question. What?
We obviously will begin to organize people politically. That's what the slogan, Black Power, is supposed to give momentum to.
Well, what have you done?
Well, we have been based mainly in the South. This is the first time we begin to move north.
But the Negroes did have considerable political power here in Chicago, Stokely. You know that, don't you?
No, I disagree. Oh, no.
You say it's power given them by City Hall, the white power.
I disagree, because I think that they've not been organized politically on their own.
Are you aware of the effort of Negro politicians in Chicago to make sure that syndicated white hoodlums did not take over the policy businesses, that they wanted it still conducted by Negroes so that Negroes would benefit by whatever words it has?
Is that right?
Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Well,
neither am I.
Would you please accept it from me as fact, from people that were involved in it?
Well, I couldn't accept it as fact, as you said.
Well, trust me, it didn't actually succeed. But they have efforts also in relation to many businesses in the past to try to have them in the hands of Negroes. I mean, an effort has been made previously, at least in Chicago.
Okay.
Maybe not successfully, but an effort has been made to put the reins of economy and the reins of political power into the hands of more Negroes than had it originally.
That's what we're trying to do now.
Mr. Carmichael, let me ask you something. There's probably many Negroes listening now. Will you, in front of this TV camera here, condemn the rioters out of hand and say that they're wrong and you're against it?
No, I wouldn't condemn them.
I didn't think so. That's my point. Now, I think that's
true. Well, let's give them a chance to explain. You're talking about rioters in Chicago, Cleveland, around the country?
Wherever they are.
In the first place, I don't call them rioters, Mr. Rockwell. It seems to me that people are rebelling against the condition in which they're forced to live. It seems to me that's what they're saying. That they haven't, if it were a riot, or if it were planned or organized, as you said it would be, then it seems to me you would start getting some strategic people. That hasn't been done. I mean, people have just spontaneously started to rebel against the way they've been forced to live.
Would any of that be just hoodlumism?
Well, I mean, I just don't like those slogans just thrown out because they seem...
My point is this...
Can you show this philosophical point that we made, Mr. Rockwell?
Yeah. What I'm interested in, there have been charges made here in Chicago that the rioting on our west side was an organized thing, that it was part of a national pattern. We had a senator here yesterday, Senator Lausche, who made the remark. Our mayor, Mr. Daley, made a similar remark at a press conference, indicating there was some outside organization to it. Now, I wonder, you are an activist, and you were a part of a very significant organization in the civil rights movement. What is your knowledge of this?
It seems to me that that's just not clear, because if that were true, then black people would have would have made more gains than they do after the rebellion.
May I ask you this, Mr. Carmichael? If it was not organized, how do you explain the fact that a few black people, according to what we're told in Watts and in Cleveland and Chicago, were able to overwhelm the entire police forces of these great cities, and you claim this is just an unorganized, spontaneous explosion that quit the Los Angeles Police Department, the Cleveland Police Department? They had to call in the National Guard Army to stop them, and you say this was just an unorganized...
Did they overwhelm them?
They overwhelmed them to the point where they had to call in the National Guard.
How did they overwhelm them? What do you mean by overwhelm?
The police were unable to stop the violence, to restore order to the street, and had to call in army troops with tanks.
Let's talk about the violence.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Who was it perpetrated against?
Against white policemen and white firemen. That's where it started. Yes, sir, that's where it began. When a policeman tries to arrest a black person right away, they claim that it's police brutality, and they attack the policeman. They're doing it right now in Chicago.
Are they?
They're doing it all the time. I have it right here in the newspaper.
If I may, before we read a newspaper or any account of it, we'll stop for a very brief word and we'll be right back.
Now we return to At Random with your host, John Madigan.
Stokely, you said you wouldn't condemn rioting, and then you substituted your word rebellion, not to get bogged down in the semantics of it. Implicit in what you say is that you would not condemn what Negroes did under these conditions of contact because they've been forced into these actions. Is that what I am to draw?
That's precisely what I said. I said that I couldn't condemn or condone. It wasn't my job. The people are forced to live in those conditions. I don't see it as organized because I think if you're organized, you don't shoot yourself, it seems to me.
And there were Negroes who have been wounded in this...
If you're organized, you shoot the enemy. That's an organized army.
Well, may I point out from the...
An army doesn't shoot its fellow comrades.
Are you encouraged by the fact that this, and never in any of these cities that I can determine, has it really been a race rioting or rebellion as such, in that whites are following Negroes? The violence has been between Negroes and established authority, right or wrong.
Policemen.
Would you say that this is true?
As I think that policemen represent authority symbols which are there to keep people inside the barricade.
Wait a minute. Now, Mr. Madigan, you just said something that's not true. In Los Angeles, all white people who entered the area were beaten and attacked by men shouting. Yes, by men shouting, "Get Whitey!" Here in the Chicago Tribune,
it was not in Chicago. In Chicago, there was no evidence of it. Is that right?
Yes. Wait a minute.
No, I don't believe there was any evidence.
Here we have a headline in the Chicago Tribune for today: Chicago Negro charged Negro slew boy in riot. The Negro was shooting at a policeman and shot a little boy.
Well, I think a distinction, and not to labor, but a distinction has to be made in a rioting situation. Shots are fired. Rocks are thrown, people walk into shots and walk into rocks. And this doesn't mean it was done with intent. It means it's part of a mob action.
Mr. Schultz, how do you explain the phrase "Get Whitey"? I'd like to know whether Mr. Carmichael approves of this battle cry of "Get Whitey" that they have.
Well, I'm not sure that battle cry isn't publicized by the white publication.
I've heard it.
You have?
Yes, sir, I've heard it.
Well, let him give an answer.
Have you heard it as much as you've heard Black Power?
Well, I've never heard anybody hollering Black Power because it just started, but the Get Whitey business has been going on quite a while.
You've heard that?
I've been told in New York, that's right. When I was recognized by Negroes, it's exactly what there's Rockwell, Get Whitey.
Well, they wanted you as an individual.
They want white, and they beat the eyes out of an old man till they were hanging by the nerves in Los Angeles, and he was a liberal.
Well, I'm sure that some instance of this occurred, and let's pursue this.
Is
there an effort of your organization or any other to implant a hatred against any white men, all white men, in a Get Whitey atmosphere?
I don't have to waste my time organizing people to get Whitey. When I get to that point, I'm just going to leave. Now, we're just here to organize black people to get white people off their backs, to move the barricades so we can function, that's all.
Do you consider that the police are on your backs?
Yes, I think...
When a policeman arrests a Negro for a bona fide crime, do you think that's getting on your backs? Don't you think Negroes ought to obey the laws, whether they like them or not?
Well, if they have a part of making the laws, yes. Would you obey a law that you didn't have a part to make, that you've been kept out?
I do it all the time. I had no part of making a lot of laws. The IRS just grabbed my place. I had no part of making that law, and they did it anyway.
You agree with that?
I don't agree with it, but I didn't riot. I went to the courts and tried to fight it.
If you do not make a law and that law is imposed to keep you in a certain place, would you agree with it? Would you
if you're saying would I oppose tyranny, yes, indeed, I would. I agree with that.
That's not what I'm asking you.
Well, ask it more precisely.
Okay, well, let's say, would you oppose tyranny? How would you fight tyranny? I like this.
I would oppose tyranny with force, the old-fashioned American way. The way our granddaddies did it in the Revolution. They didn't. The Boston Tea Party was pretty rough, and they started fighting and shooting at people.
Well, then you're really a proponent of violence.